Hello, welcome to Midwest Fishing Adventures. Today we're going to tie this hightail crawl pattern, and I've actually started doing something a little bit different, so I'm excited to show you what I do different on this hightail crawl. We're going to start out with a Daiichi 4660 hook with the this is a size 4 with the 90-degree bend right here. And then we're going to grab our non-toxic lead eyes in size, this is size small. So let's start with our thread. This is a GSP thread. It's a really strong thread designed for tying bass flies. Let's get some thread started. Just like that. Now we're going to take our lead dumbbell eye and we're going to tie that in, leaving a tiny bit of space between the lead dumbbell eye and the bend in this hook here so we can finish up our fly. And let's get it on there center. And I tie these dumbbell eyes just like you would a clouser. You would tie them in on a clouser minnow or any fly for that matter. So I'm going to go use the same pattern. I'm going to go under the dumbbell eye, over the hook shank, under the dumbbell eye, over the hook shank, and that really locks down the eye. And go back to figure eights. Just like that. And once you got them where you want them, then you can move your thread down the hook. It's about the barb. And then we're going to flip this over. Flip the hook over. Now if you have a nice rotary vise, that's easy to do, but I don't. Position these eyes just where I want them, and I'm just going to take some cement. In this case I'm just using some Sally Hansen hard as nails as head cement. Glue that into place. Alright, next we're going to take some orange marabou, just any orange marabou, and I've got some right here loose that I don't want to waste. And just a pinch, I'm going to take like a little pinch like this, cut that off here. And we just maybe as long as the hook shank out the front here, so we'll get that trimmed down just a tiny bit. That's where I want it. Take a loose wrap to get it where you want it. Then you can cinch it down. Alright. Next we're going to take some crystal flash and in pearl. Some crystal flash and pearl. Take one strand and cut it in half. I'm just going to cut this, fold it in half and cut it in half. Set one half aside for later for your next fly. And then find the middle and we're going to tie that in. Then wrap this one around here to the other side and tie it in. And you can go ahead and cut these to length so they're not flopping all over. And I estimate about twice the hook shank, the length of the hook, for the length of the antenna. Okay, great. Now we're going to take some thin foam in orange. I used to take these, I used to cut chunks out of there, and you can see how uneven it gets if you just cut chunks. Then I found that my wife's paper cutter will cut them in nice smooth strips like this. So it's about a 1/2 inch wide, and we'll make a 1/2 inch square. Okay, so here's my little square right here. I'm going to take that and fold it half on the hook shank and half in front of the hook shank, like this, like that. And then let's take a loose wrap. Make sure your antenna doesn't get pulled under. Take a loose wrap, and then we can cinch by pulling down. You want to keep that on top of the hook and then tie it in. And this is why we use the GSP thread here, because we really got to tie this in and pull down pretty good to get that foam tied in there really well. Now this foam right here serves two purposes. One is to make this part of the fly, the tail, float up, which would actually be the head of the crayfish pattern, float up, and also it keeps the claws separated. So next we're going to grab our black bar rabbit strip in crawfish orange. It's barred black. I like that. Now when you cut this, you need to be really careful how you cut your strips. We're going to cut a strip about, I'd say, 3/4 of an inch long. And you need to pull, notice how the fur is longer than the hide. And that's what gives that nice claw effect. So you need to pull the fur back and expose the hide underneath it before you cut it. So we're going to find our length that we want, and we're going to pull the fur back and expose the hide. So let's see if I can do this in front of the camera for you. See how we're exposing the hide there? And that's where we're going to make our cut. Just like that. Alright, so this is what you get. The end result is a little claw, and we'll tie this into place. So you want to line the edge of the hide here with the edge of the foam here. So we're going to line that up, and we're going to take a loose wrap, and we'll pull straight down because we want that to stay right on the side. Then we can cinch it in and give it a couple tight wraps. Now I'm not going to tie it all the way in because I'm going to cut my other claw real quick. Pulling the hide back again, pulling the fur back, excuse me, to expose the hide. Once we get our desired length, we got it separated nice, and we can make our cut. Alright, we'll line that the same way. Hold it on the side. Let's take a loose wrap and pull straight down. Now keep the claws right on the side when you pull it straight down, and cinch it in, and then we can tie them both in. Alright. There we go. Now you can take, at this point you can take a tiny bit of Sally Hansen's and glue these right in, making sure they're on the side, they stay on the side. And then we'll finish up with some more wraps. So take a little bit of Sally Hansen's. Don't get it on the fur. You don't want to get it on the fur. And you don't want it all over the eyes like I just did right there. Alright. We can take a couple more wraps. Now, beautiful. That's perfect. That's building up the part of the body there. That's building up the, I don't know, the thoracic part, whatever, the chest part of the crayfish. And now we're going to take a piece of hackle. Now you want to find a pretty, not too long. I've been experimenting with these a little bit. So you want to get a kind of a shorter piece. It doesn't take a real long piece of hackle here to get the desired effect. Like always, pull the barbs back to make them stick perpendicular like that. We're going to clean off a little bit here to tie in, and put that on. Let's tie this in like this. Alright, and just leave that set there for now. Now here's what I do different. I actually dub the body in now. I'm going to take some dubbing in orange here. Just some dubbing. Here it's in orange. I'm going to take a little bit of this and I'm going to build up my body. I don't have any fancy dubbing tool. Basically I take the dubbing and I just spin it on the thread. So I'm going to take this dubbing and just spin it, work it onto this thread really well. And you'll put some pretty good pressure on there to get this dubbing to stick to the thread. Once you do that, so get my dubbing on there all the way. If you wax it, it might stick better. I don't have any wax handy, so I'm just going to go ahead and use lots of pressure. Alright. And so let's start building up our body. Let's start build up the body how you think you whatever feels fit. You know, you want to make it full. Alright, so I ran out of dub. Let's grab a little bit more dubbing. Spin that on there. That might be too much. I find that using this dubbing, I'll show you a little technique that I learned just recently that kind of makes the body a little bit more, I think, appealing to the fish, because we'll brush out this dubbing. It's going to have lots of the strands of dubbing exposed or sticking out. Alright, let's build up the tail part. It's about perfect right there, just like that. And you can already see some of these fibers sticking out. That's going to give some awesome effect to the fly there. Alright, now take our hackle pliers wherever they are in my mess here somewhere. Got an extra set. Got a mess going on. I know I got another set in here. Just grab. No, I don't have that. Alright, we'll do it by hand. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. That's okay though. So we're going to keep constant tension on the hackle. Make sure you're trying to keep the barbs sticking up and get some equal spacing. This is typically you wrapping this hackle just like I would like a woolly bugger pattern. And then once we get here, let's put some ties on it. And I like to tie on both sides of this last fiber here before I cut it. And let's cut that off. Just like that. There we have it. Let's put some wraps in here. Then I'm going to cross over to the back side where I left that small little gap at. Put a couple wraps. And then I'm going to, instead of using, this is something new, so if I mess this up, I'm going to try to hand whip finish so I can get around this bend a little bit better. It's a little bit better than using the whip finish tool because it gives you a little bit more control to get around that bend of that hook. And then what I'm going to do is slip my finger out, trying to keep tension on it. There we go. Got that in there nice and tight. I'm going to cut that piece off right there. And I see one little loose strand here that I want to get off the back. Take our Sally Hansen's and put a little dab on top of our knot there that we made with our hand whip finish. Just a little dab. Tie that into place. Now, to give this fly some more pizzazz, we're going to take just a piece of Velcro here. It's got a Velcro strip, and I'm going to brush out that dubbing, and it's going to pull them fibers out. And this is going to be, I think, the ultimate fly for smallmouth bass. And you can see how them fibers are sticking out all over the place now. It's going to give it a real nice effect in the water. I'm going to brush out the bottom. And there you go. That is the hightail craw. Fantastic smallmouth pattern, and works well for largemouth too.